And so we become so specialized, we become ignorant in other areas. Now, this didn't happen in ancient Athens because there wasn't enough specialized knowledge yet. We felt that in education, we study everything.
What we try and do is bring together diversity to the group so that everyone has an opinion, has a different perspective, has something to offer in the whole process that we undergo every month. This is just one example of what we do every month in trying to enrich and engage our future leaders. We do it with people like Mr. Cathers, who has really a historical perspective on philosophy and truths and how we should build on our foundational values.
They began to understand in the Renaissance the danger of specialization. And they wanted to have a rebirth of that well-rounded education. And they said, that's what it means to be a Renaissance man. Leonardo da Vinci will paint and he'll write music and he'll be a scientist and a philosopher, and that's important for us to be well-rounded. And I think that continues to be the case, that we want to be well-rounded, because at the academy in ancient Athens, they did everything. Math, science, and drama, and music, and philosophy, and religion, and they discussed everything. But the problem that they thought that was most important, the one they thought most significant, is what makes a human life good. What makes it worth living? What must we do to flourish as human beings? Now, Plato believed if you know the truth clear enough, you'll choose it. If you just get clear enough on what is true and what is right, you'll choose it. And we can work hard to know what is the good choice as opposed to the bad choice. Then we want to work on our desires and habits to have them correspond to that which I ought to desire.
This is a second opportunity I've had to listen to Mr. Cathers, and you know, he's a special individual. He brings a different perspective that's brought out on the table and that's discussed with everybody. And you know, what I like about him is that his ability to capture your attention and to bring you into some topics that you might normally not ever speak about, you know, and it gives you that depth of reasoning and history and going back and speaking of Aristotle and Plato and all these, you know, philosophers and teachers of the past, you know, and relate them to the issues that is involving us today is such a feat. And to see that and to hear that just makes it all worthwhile.
But humans cannot exist alone. They can't exist alone physically. They can't exist alone intellectually. They can't exist alone artistically. They can't exist alone in any manner. Aristotle says, show me a being who lives in isolation, and I will show you a beast or a god, but not a human. Happiness has to do with moral virtue. A whole life well lived in accordance with virtue and good fortune. It is an ethical term that government be set up so that we individually and collectively can search for and to pursue living eudaimonistic lives, flourishing lives. And what does that entail for all of us? We also know that Aristotle's belief was that happiness is a cooperative venture, not a competitive one. You can't be happy alone. He thought man, by nature, is a social and political animal. See, politics is a pejorative term today. Oh, I don't like politics, or you're a politician. So I challenge all of you to not think of politics as a bad thing. Well, that's political. Those are the tools that human beings use to pursue happiness.